Talking Golf with Manuel de la Torre. Needless to say that my favorite subject to discuss is what? Golf. And the golf swing. One of the things that I would like to have you understand is that the Ernest Jones system differs from the everyday type of teaching that you hear today, is that we are concerned with the proper use of the tool that is called a golf club, which is used to propel the ball to a particular target. And we don't particularly care what the body looks like when it's moving, as long as it is in a responsive mode. Now, it is important for you all to understand what response means. And Donnie, would you come over here, please? Okay, now just stand right here. Now, I'm going to push Donnie. I've never done this with him before. Now, I want you to respond to what I do. No. I don't want to knock you off your feet. I want you to stay here, because when you're playing golf, you're not walking, are you? So I want you to stay right here and respond to what I do. That's right. But you're not responding well enough. No, don't fight. Respond. No. Respond. See, I knock him off his feet because he's not responding. No, well, this is very important, because anytime that I do this with people, they do what he does. And sometimes people fight me and they push back. Respond. No, don't push back. That's not responding. No. Tommy, you come over here. Now, you stay right here. Let me see you respond. See? There's the response. Now, I can do this faster if I want, but he's responding, and I never knock him off his feet. That's response. He's fighting. Come over here. Now, let's see you respond now. That's right. Can you see the difference now? And I can do this at different speeds, but I will never knock him off his feet. Okay. That's response. And your body has to do that in relation to the golf swing with the club. Now, did he look the same as Donnie when they did that? No. And the reason for that is very simple. No two bodies are built exactly the same way. And human beings don't react the same way to motion, just like they did the same thing, but they look different. Okay? Now, human beings react differently to the same stimulus, whether it's to a physical response or a word response. I had a young man that was my club champion, and one day we went to play the club champion and pro event at one of our clubs in Wisconsin. And he said to me when we were having a Coke after playing, he said, "Look at that young lady, the hostess. She has such a beautiful dress, and she's smiling, and she's really looks as though she's enjoying her job." And I said to him, "Well, don't tell me, tell her." Well, he was about 19 or 18, very shy at the time. And I said, "I'm going to have her come over." He said, "Oh, don't do that, don't do that." But I called her over, and I said to her when she came to the table, I said, "This young man has something to tell you." So he finally got it out and told her the same thing that he told me. And she said to him, "You made my day." And I said, "You see, it was much better to tell her than to tell me." So a couple of months later, he was having lunch at a restaurant called the Ground Round in Milwaukee. And there was a waitress there that was the same as far as he was concerned. She was very nice, smiling, and so on the way out to pay his bill, he stopped her and said the same thing to this girl that he had told the hostess at this other club. And this girl turns around and says, what, are you a wedge guy? So no two human beings respond exactly the same way to words or to actions. And we as professionals cannot try to get everybody's response to be the same. Is my response going to be just like yours? No, certainly not. Danny and I were talking about the address position. They want everybody to have the butt end sticking out, the back flat. I'm not built that way. Nice tell, especially the ladies, they like this. Don't stick anything out if it doesn't normally stick out. Just leave it alone. Be as natural as you can. The body always works better if it's in a comfortable state. I had a young lady at the seminar that I give for the teachers in Phoenix, and we were discussing the address position. And she didn't go along with my particular ideas. So I had her come out and set me up the way she wanted me to be set up. So I said, okay, I have my grip, now tell me what to do. She said, well, you put your club in the center, because I had a wedge. Your hands ahead, so that the club and the shaft of the club and the left arm are in a straight line. Then you tuck your chin in. But now you have to have the weight on the inside of your feet. And you have to have your right elbow tucked in. And she said, and now you have to swing it. And I said, when? She said, I can't move now. So then I said to her, why don't you put the club in my hand? So she goes like that. I said, why didn't you do all these things that you asked me to do? And she kind of looked at me kind of confused, and I said, well, because it's not golf. So now you're natural. So what difference does it make whether you have the club in my hand here, or I put my hand behind the ball and you put the club in my hand? Why do I have to have all this crazy stuff that you're telling me to do? So the address position should be the most comfortable position that you can achieve. It doesn't matter what club you use, you set yourself in a very comfortable position. You don't have to be like this or like that, or it's just a very natural position. Is the position that you all achieve going to be identical? Nope, it's not. Because your comfort feel is different for each one of you. And I, as a teaching professional, have to accept the differences that you each have for your comfort zone at the address position or at any other position that you want to think about. Okay? Does this make sense to all of you? I think and believe very strongly that the swinging motion is a very simple thing. Kids have no problem doing it. I mean, when you take a youngster that's 5, 6 years old and give him a club, he doesn't go through all this stuff. He just takes the club, puts it down there, and goes. Very natural. And why adults can't do that is beyond my comprehension.
Is it okay to ask questions?
Yes, sir.
I'm just 12 handicap, so one of the problems I have now that I'm getting older, when I set up in a comfortable position, I discover when I hit the ball that I've gotten my hands too close to my body. Okay, so I end up basically taking too much grasp. When I realize I should probably extend my arms a little bit more. So
That doesn't have anything to do with comfort.
okay.
Because if you come over here, I'll show you something. Now, I want you to take the club and put it out here where you feel very comfortable. Okay?
Okay.
Just very comfortable. Now, I just want you to bend over until the club touches the ground. Are you too close?
No.
Okay.
What I tend to do is like bring it in, and I probably start the wrong way, right?
No, what you do is adjust
Okay.
for some reason.
Yep.
You don't take this comfort position, put it up there again, just to be very comfortable.
Yep, that's
And I just bend over and put the club on the ground. Are you too close?
No, I think it'd be.
No, you're okay.
Okay, thanks. I won't ask any more questions.
Now, see, I didn't tell you how far away from the club. Yes, yeah. I just want you to be very comfortable here and just simply bend over and put it down. And people do it that way, they're always okay. Without trying to figure out, well, I have to be this far, that far. You see what I mean? Very simple things. You can do this with a child, who's 5 years old. You can do it with an 88-year-old person. It doesn't make any difference. It works. You see? Okay. So the address position should be a very comfortable position, because the more comfort you have, the easier it is to move. That's a general description of the address. Now, let's be more specific now. When I address the ball, I want my club in the center of my stance, center between my feet. Okay? Now, why do I want that? Let me see you now. Come over here. You can do it with your coat on this time. Okay. You take your stance. Now put your club, pick it up straight up and put it on your right shoulder. Okay. So don't look at me.
Okay.
Now close your eyes. Now hit the ground. Where's the club in relation to your feet?
In the center of my stance.
Is it?
Close.
Yes, it is. Okay. Now, if I gave you a different club and had you do the same thing, would it be any different?
No.
If I gave you a driver, wouldn't it be from the same place?
Yeah, just a little further out.
Right. Now, why was that so? Why would, when you do that, why is the club always in the center? And I don't care who does it. It's always in the center.
Because your body's symmetrical and
No.
your right and left arms are the same length, so when you pull it down, it should be...
No.
No?
No.
I don't know.
Because that's the only place where you can be in perfect balance.
Oh.
Okay, now you may sit down now. And I don't care who does this. As long as the eyes are closed, you always achieve perfect balance and stay in perfect balance. And as long as you do that, the club will always be in the center.
But it doesn't matter which club?
No.
They tell you to color your
I know.
front heel and...
I know. That's what I said. Does it make any difference what you call your club? You call it a driver, 3-wood, 4-wood, hybrid. If you do that with any club, it'll always be in the center. Okay? Now, what would you like your game to be more than anything?
What I like, consistent.
Consistent. That's what everybody tells me. Well, if you change the position of that ball, are you being consistent?
No.
What is consistency?
It's a repeatable motion, same thing every time.
Repeating the same thing all the time. So if you, with one club, your club is in the center, why in the world do we keep changing the thing?
I don't know.
Well, because that's what you hear.
Because I've been told to do that.
That's what you hear. And Hogan was one of the first ones that did that, because he puts the club there and then all he does is spreads his right foot. Well, that's not balanced. You see. You know, have you ever taken arithmetic, anybody? Mathematics? What happens to the equation? If you add 10 to one side of the equation, what happens? Pardon?
It's out of balance. It's not even...
No.
You have to add 10 to the other side.
You have to add it to the other side. Okay. That's the equation. Okay? Well, think of your stance that way. That if you had a club here, you can't just add once to one side, you add to both sides. So if you take the foot and move it 6 inches, you move the other one 6 inches as well. So you maintain that balance. Everybody's body wants to remain in balance. And I can prove it to you because right now I'm having a terrible time with my balance. And I have a fear of falling because I have. And my body keeps working so I won't what? Fall. And that plays havoc with my game. you see. So, every club in the center. Now, if you want to change the ball flight, then you can change the ball position. If you want to send it lower, then you move it back, but you don't change anything else. In other words, if I want to hit the ball lower, I just stand the same way as if I were going to hit it normal, and I just move my club head back. But I don't change anything else. And I swing this club as though the ball were in its normal position. So I'm not changing my swing for anything. If I want to hit it a little higher, either I open the club and give it more loft, or I simply address the ball maybe this much behind it and swing as though the ball were there. And the club sends it higher. I don't do anything. I always want the club to do anything that I want it to do. Okay? That makes your setup consistent. The other thing that is consistent about it is that when you swing the club from the same place, the direction of your backswing is always what? The same. It's always the same. If I put my club where they want you to put your driver off the left toe, over here, that has a tendency to take your club back where? Outside. On the outside. It's very difficult for you to take the club from there and bring it in here. Whereas if you put it in the center, it's almost automatic. So it's much easier to maintain your plane and your direction when everything's in the same center. Now, why they want your drive over there is beyond my comprehension. Because when you change the ball position, you don't change just the ball position, you're changing other things. If I take the club from here and put it over there, what else has changed? Yeah. Yeah. So now, if I'm in this position here, how am I going to take the club over here? I can't. Now, the principle of the motion, and this is geometric, the geometric principle, is that when you have a circle, like you do in a golf swing, and the club gets to a horizontal position in the backswing, it has to be parallel to the target line. And that's why when you take a Furyk or a Couples or a Lee Trevino, when they swing the club back this way, what do they do in the top of your backswing? They reroute it because they have to get back to the parallel position here or they can't hit the ball straight. And that's why sometimes Mr. Couples will take it here and can't find this one. And sometimes he gets too far in, sometimes not far enough, and his driving just gets way off. If he can find it, he's okay. My feeling is, why do I have to find it? Why can't I just swing it and have it there already? And then all I have to do is let the club fall, and it'll be square. As you can see, that club's square right now. Now, I didn't try to do that. I just let it fall from where it's supposed to be, and it's dead square. So the less things that a person has to do to return the club to the ball, the more what? Consistent. That's correct. The more things you have to do, the more practice you need, and the more timing you have to develop, and the more balls you have to hit to try and get that timing properly. Whereas if you don't have to do all that, it's much easier if you don't practice a lot or you don't play a lot to be able to do that by just trusting the motion that you have. Any questions so far? Okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Taking the club back.
Yes.
Sometimes I find one hand dominates.
Yes.
Taking it back. So, are you going to discuss that later in terms of, I realize it's a two-hand takeaway, but sometimes just being naturally stronger on the right hand, I find that on my takeaway, the right hand dominates and I tend to.
Well, if your right hand dominates, it's okay. If your right arm dominates, it's not okay. And here's where you have to understand the difference. If I take my club back and I take it with my arm, I shut it. If I take the club back with my right hand dominant, I don't. But if I use my left hand, I lay it off. You see? So I have to use both hands to swing the club back. Because by using the right hand in the backswing as well as the left, then I keep the club on plane.
Do you think an interlocking grip makes that easier in the sense that with an overlap, I find you can cock quicker, whereas with an overlap?
Well, you don't want to feel like, see, the club cocks me and cocks my wrist. Now, why should I say that? If you cock your wrists yourself, do you cock them the same way for a driver than you do for a wedge? No. What's the difference? Pardon?
Because of the length of the club, one takes longer, the arc is longer.
No, that's not the basic difference. Okay. The basic difference is the plane. You see, if I cock my wrist with a wedge, you see, it goes this way. But if I cock them with my driver, it'll go that way. Now, you would have to know the difference in the plane of the wrist to be able to cock them properly. Do you know that? I don't even know that. I don't even know that. But if you allow the club to do that to you, then the hands are cocked by the club in its plane. In its plane. Not the right plane, but its plane. You see? Now, if I do it with a wedge from here, and I just let the club cock my wrist, see, that's a different plane for my wrist too. Because my club is on a different plane. But I have nothing to do with that. So we don't cock our wrists. Our club cocks them. People say, well, you turn your shoulders. No, we don't. The club turns us. Meaning that we respond, just like I was telling you. So when I take this club from here, and I swing the club this way, the fact that I take the club here makes me turn. Now, people who take the club back and then hoist it, they take it here and they hoist it. What happened to my turn now? It's no longer there because my club isn't turning me. If I go this way, there's no reason for me to turn. So when I swing this club and let it go with my shoulder, then that turns me. You see? So everything that I do, and what I teach people to do, is to trust the motion that you're producing with the club and respond to it, whether it's backswing or forward swing. Okay? Does all this make sense? Another thing that just blows my mind is the idea of you accelerate through the ball. How many of you believe that? Be honest.
I believe it because I've been taught.
Pardon?
Taught that by so many pros. They turn the club upside down, get the noise out in front of the ball.
Yeah, well, you hear it all the time. Accelerate through the ball. Putting especially, you accelerate through the ball. Do we accelerate through the ball?
Not in control.
Pardon?
Not in control. Every time I try to swing faster, that's where the ball's going everywhere.
Well, notice my question. Do we accelerate through the ball?
I guess to some extent you would naturally accelerate as you come down.
So when do we accelerate?
During the swinging motion.
When do we start that?
On the forward swing.
Where? Where do we start it?
In bars.
No, where do we start it?
It's not return.
Right. You start it right at the beginning of the forward swing. You see? Now, the club is always accelerating. If I take this club from here and drop it, what does it do?
It speeds up.
Yeah, it accelerates. How long does it accelerate?
Not long.
Pardon?
Not long, just a few.
Well, there's a point beyond which it doesn't. Where does it accelerate? How long does it accelerate? Pardon? Just until it reaches the bottom of the arc, right? Now, what does it do once it reaches the bottom of the arc? Right. And the acceleration rate and the deceleration rate are what? The same. That's your physics. Can you destroy that? Nope. That's physics. That's the way it is. Now, here's your principle of a swing. Anytime that an object is swinging, it achieves its greatest speed at the midpoint of its arc. That's what I just demonstrated for you. If I drop this, it goes to the same distance on that side that I started it here. If I start it here, it only goes there. That's perfect swinging. If you're hitting a partial shot where you're not taking a full swing, okay? Where is the point of maximum speed? Assuming you don't hit a ball, okay? Where is the point of maximum speed? And where's the bottom of the arc? Right where the ball would be. Correct. But now I'm hitting a full shot. What changes? Pardon?
Nothing other than speed, plus engine, because it got further to accelerate.
So what happens to the midpoint?
It doesn't really change.
Oh, yes, it does. If I take this club here and swing it this way, it goes the same distance on one side. But suppose I accelerate it this way. What happened to the center of that arc? Yes. Yes. So when you're hitting a full shot, your intent should be to maintain your acceleration past the ball, not at the ball.
And how do you do that consistently?
And most people, when you're trying to send the ball farther and trying to swing it farther, all you do is you go harder to there. And you shouldn't do that. You should feel that you're passing the ball and the point of maximum speed is past the ball. Even though I've been told by some physicists that when a club, which is moving, meets a ball, which is a stationary object, it loses 19% of its speed. Okay? But you as a person who's swinging the club should not let that enter into your mind. As far as you're concerned, the execution of the swing should be that you're swinging it as though the speed is greater past the ball.
And how do you achieve that?
The plane has nothing to do with this.
But in terms of your arc, how do you do that without changing something if you're trying to increase your point of acceleration further past the ball?
What I'm trying to get you to see is that the ball is not where your intent should be. Come over here.
Yeah, how do you want swinging to her?
And grip the club this way. Okay. Now I'm going to have you swing. Now I want you to swing the club from there to there. Okay. Go ahead. Okay, now I want you to swing it full. Now, you've already changed it. Because there's no ball there. So it's a natural thing to do. I'm just explaining what happens. Now, if I put a ball there, chances are your intent is going to end here. Where when you just have no ball, it doesn't end there.
That's why the practice swing's always better.
Yes. You just hit it. Yes. There was a young man in Wisconsin who wrote a little pamphlet, and he called it, "Hit the Ball with Your Practice Swing." And that's, nothing could be said better than that. My father said to me one time, he said, "Don't take a practice swing, you never use it." And nobody ever uses the practice swing to hit the golf ball. It's always different.
Do you advocate that, taking a practice swing before you hit the ball?
Sir?
I said, do you advocate taking a practice swing before you hit the ball?
Well, it depends. I never take a practice swing. I don't care what the conditions are. I look, and when I look, I let my mind take care of that. I don't even take a practice swing with my putting. I think it's ridiculous when I see these tour players hit a 2-foot putt, and they take 3 practice swings for a 2-foot putt. I mean, what are they gaining from that? You see? But anyway, if you are trying something new, for instance, and you have a key. For instance, if you say to yourself, well, I have to take the club back in this circular pattern, and you want to remind yourself and you want to do something of that kind, That's fine.
Like weirdos with
See,
that,
I don't say to people, don't take a practice swing. But the practice swing should have a purpose. The purpose of the practice swing is to try to make your swing at the ball as your practice swing. Otherwise, why take it? You see? Now, here's the problem with practice swings. Suppose you take a practice swing you don't like it. And you say, well, I did this, that, and that. What are you going to do? Take another one. But now, because you're a man especially, you're going to fix it, or try to fix it. So you do something, and that doesn't feel good either. Now what are you going to do?
try something else.
Well, you can't keep taking practice. Eventually, you got to hit the thing.
Same guys that do.
See? So by the time you take 2 or 3 and try to hit the ball, you're so confused because of what you're trying to do that you can't hit the shot. You see? So sometimes practice swings can be more confusing to the player than if you just walk up there and make the swing. You make less mistakes that way. All right. Now the basic part now, we have the setup. The alignment is a very important thing. And I don't know, how many of you have trouble lining up? Okay. Now let me take you away from golf. You ever fire a rifle or a pistol or? Well, you're throwing a ball. You've all thrown a ball. If you're throwing a ball to me, where's your eye? Oh, that seems strange. Where would your eye be if you threw a ball to me? You're throwing it to me?
I'm throwing it to you?
Yes. Where's your eye?
I think I would look at you, yeah.
At me. What would, yeah. But now in golf, where's our eye? It's on the ball. So how are we going to keep our target in mind? You can't look at it. And people say to me, well, I'm thinking about the target. I said, that's wonderful. You see it's a nice little green flag. Or that, what does that do? Nothing. But you can do something that gives you 2 things. And that is, give you the distance and the location. So it gives you distance and direction. What would that be? Visualizing the target. So instead of the eyes looking at it, you create a picture of where it is. And that gives you distance and direction. Okay? So now, when you take your alignment procedure, the most important thing is to keep your target in your eye for as long as possible. So if I'm going to hit the ball to that exit sign, as I stand behind me to get my line, I keep my eye up there as long as I can, and I take it off there just before I put the club behind the ball. If you do what most of you do, you look up there, and then you look down here to get to the ball, you've lost your line. So just like when you throw a ball to me, you don't look at me and look up and then throw the ball at me. You keep your eye on me as long as possible.
That would be true for putting as well.
Pardon?
That would be true for putting as well. That would be also true for putting.
Yeah, oh yes.
Visualizing
Oh yes. Yeah, this doesn't change because you changed a part of the game. It's all the same. Yeah, you keep your eye on your target as long as possible. And you just take it off your target just enough. Then you may look again if you like. But you'd be amazed at how much better you are when you do that than if you take an intermediate target or something like that. How many of you take an intermediate target? If I would check you where you put your intermediate target, I'd be willing to bet you my money in my wallet that you never put it on the line. Because nobody ever does. It's always off. However, if you keep looking at the target, 99% of the people that do that are much closer to the target than when they put an intermediate target. Okay? All right. Now, as far as this is just general preparation. Now, as far as the swinging motion is concerned, it's a very simple thing. You take the club, you swing it over the, excuse me, over the shoulder, and all clubs swing over the shoulder. If you take it from here and swing it back, it always goes over the shoulder. All clubs, when you swing full. So you swing it back with the hands. Now, when I say you swing back with the hands, I'm not talking about this. That's leverage. I'm talking about a swing. So it's a matter of swinging the club head back with the hands. Now, once the club gets to the top of the backswing, just like when I asked you about hitting the table, once you get it to here, the responsibility changes 100% to the arm concept. And they swing the golf club, the whole golf club, from the top to the finish in the direction of your target. Okay? Now, in the little shots, I find that, and Donnie and I were working on this yesterday, that there's a tendency for a person, when they hit little shots, to stay very flat-footed. And as long as the club is going to a horizontal level on this side, the right heel should be up all the way. And the right heel and the club is like they're tied together, like they're one unit. So when the club starts going forward, the right heel responds. Okay? And that generally is the whole thing. Now, the corrective procedures that we use depend on a couple of things. One is what your problem is, and the other one is the understanding that you have of what you're trying to change. And sometimes what you're trying to change is making things worse. And I always tell my colleagues that the one important thing to know about making corrections is you have to determine the cause. Don't change the problem, because then you're trying to change the ball flight. So if you're hooking, then you slice it. And if you slice it, then you're going to hook it. You don't want to do that. You want to change the cause of your problem. And we as instructors, if we can't determine the cause, we cannot help you. We have to determine the cause of the problem. In the little shots, the cause of the problem 99% of the time is, when they get a wedge, is the fact that your mind has a too high a mental picture. And regardless of the size of the shot, your picture is too much this way. And going back to you, when you're playing a little pitch shot, in which direction do you want to hit the ball? Point with your finger. So you didn't point up there. You pointed that way. Well, that's the way your picture should be, regardless of what the club does to the ball. Your intent is to send the ball that way. Where's your target?
Forward.
Pardon?
Forward.
Yes, but where is it? That's the direction. Okay, but where is the target?
On a pitch shot?
In any shot. In any shot. Where is it?
To my left.
No, where is it? And everybody has trouble answering this question. Where's your target?
It's on the ground.
It's on the ground. I asked a man one time, I said, where's the hole? And he couldn't tell me. And I finally said, now if I asked you to make a hole, where would you make it? And then he said, on the ground. I said, well, okay. The target is always on the ground. It's never up there. And I can't tell you how important that is to learn to play good pitch shots. The target is always on the ground. It's never up in the clouds. Your mind may be up in the clouds, but the target is not. Okay, any questions? Okay, well, thank you very much, and I hope this information will help you.